All right, let's go on a bit of a cosmic detective journey. We're here to solve a mystery that's literally billions of years old. And you know the wildest part? The clues aren't hidden in some faraway galaxy. Nope, they're right here on Earth. And they are older than our own sun. I mean, that sounds like something straight out of science fiction, doesn't it? But what if I told you it's not only possible, it's something scientists are doing as we speak? They are holding tiny microscopic pieces of stars that died long ago, and they're learning how to read the stories trapped inside.
So, our main pieces of evidence are these incredible things called pre-solar grains. You should think of them like cosmic time capsules. They were born in the fiery, chaotic atmospheres of ancient stars. They drifted through the empty void for eons, and then they got scooped up into the stuff that would eventually form our solar system. We find them today perfectly preserved inside meteorites, like the famous Murchison meteorite.
Okay, so where does our investigation even begin? Well, it starts with a single microscopic grain of dust. But this isn't just any old dust. Oh no, this is a very specific type of clue, one that holds the key to unlocking the deepest secrets of its parent star. Here it is, our primary piece of evidence, a tiny sphere made of carbon, just a micron across. And if you look closely, you'll see it has this really distinct structure. It's got a core and a rim. Inside that core, scientists found a special arrangement of carbon atoms called unlayered graphene. But the most crucial clue, the real game changer, is its perfectly spherical shape. That tells us something huge. It means it didn't freeze from a gas, like frost on a window. It had to have solidified from a liquid droplet. And that single fact, well, it changes absolutely everything. To really get what this clue is telling us, we've got to go back in time, way back. We're heading to the scene of the crime, the place where this tiny carbon sphere was actually born. We're going to the outer atmosphere of a dying star. The culprit? It's what's known as an asymptotic giant branch star, or an AGB star for short. This is a star that's nearing the end of its life, and it's puffing its outer layers out into space. It's in this chaotic, carbon-rich environment that our little piece of stardust was forged. So you might be wondering, how does the key ingredient, carbon, get from way down deep in the star's core to the outside where dust can actually form? Well, it happens through this amazing process called the third dredge-up. You can imagine powerful pulses deep inside the star acting like a giant cosmic elevator, dredging up all this newly made carbon and mixing it into the star's outer atmosphere. And that's what sets the stage for creating stardust. Okay, let's recap. We have our clue, the carbon sphere. We have our location, the AGB star. But now we come to the central puzzle. Under what exact conditions did this sphere form? This is where the real detective work kicks in. You see, for a long time, the main theory was that carbon dust just condensed. It went straight from a gas to a solid at around 1500 Kelvin. But our little sphere, our clue, it tells a totally different story. Its shape is a dead giveaway that it had to have solidified from a liquid droplet. And for carbon to exist as a liquid, even a supercooled one, the temperature has to be much, much higher. And here it is, the breakthrough number. Scientists estimate that these carbon droplets solidified at around 2350 Kelvin. That's over 800 degrees hotter than the old theory predicted. And that is the key, because it completely changes where in the star's atmosphere we need to be looking. I mean, this quote from the research paper just nails it. A hotter formation temperature means the whole process had to be happening deeper inside the star's atmosphere, where it's hotter and denser. We've just moved the entire crime scene. And this chart just lays it all out, crystal clear. The old model said dust forms way out in the cooler, extended atmosphere. But our new model, based on that liquid droplet, moves the whole operation much deeper inside, closer to the star. It's a fundamental shift in how we understand the way stars create the building blocks of planets, and of us. But look, a hot start is only half the story. The final, crucial piece of our puzzle is figuring out just how quickly that 2350-degree liquid droplet cooled down to become the solid grain we find today. Because it turns out the cooling rate is just as important as the temperature. So, what did the researchers do? Well, they got to work and did the math. They built a model of the star's atmosphere, figuring out how the temperature drops as you move away from the star. Then they multiplied that by the speed that gas is getting shot out from the star. And that gave them the final clue they needed, the cooling rate. And the result is, well, It's just staggering. The cooling rate could be as slow as 0.02 of a Kelvin per second. That is an almost impossibly incredibly slow cooling process, all happening while this particle is being flung out into the vastness of space. To give you some idea of just how slow that is, let's try to put it in perspective. The fastest cooling rates we can possibly achieve in a lab here on Earth are still billions of times faster than what was happening in that star. There's just no way we can replicate these cosmic conditions. And this visual just says it all, right? The difference isn't just big, it's astronomical. We're talking more than 7 orders of magnitude. That's over 10 million times slower in the star than anything we can create in a lab. And here's where it all just clicks into place. This ultra-slow cooling rate is a perfect match for the kind of unlayered graphene structures they found inside the grains. See, those structures could only have formed if they had a huge amount of time to grow as the droplets slowly cooled. All the pieces of the puzzle, the shape, the temperature, and now the cooling rate, they fit together perfectly. Mystery solved. Okay, so we've cracked the case of one tiny grain of stardust. But why does this matter? What does solving this one little cosmic mystery really tell us about the bigger picture? Well, the impact is actually huge. For one, we now have a brand new tool to read the thermal history of individual stars just by looking at these tiny grains they leave behind. It also fundamentally changes how we think about stardust, the very stuff that planets and even we are made from. And it even helps material scientists right here on Earth understand exotic forms of carbon. Which, it leaves us with this incredible final thought. By decoding the history of just one tiny carbon sphere, we've rewritten a whole chapter on how stars work. It really makes you wonder, what other profound cosmic stories are locked away just waiting for us to find them in another single, unassuming grain of dust?